In Illustrator, shapes are made out of paths and points. If you open your resources folder and navigate to your elements file, you are welcome to follow along. I'm going to illustrate what I'm talking about when I talk about paths and points. Every straight line is basically just a path with anchor points at the end. And a curved line is a path with multiple anchor points. It has them at the end, it has them in the curve. Anchors where things bend. Another item is called a handle. So let's go ahead and see all of these items. If you go over to your tools and you go to your direct selection tool or hit A, another key you will hit a lot, and I am seeing the A is fairly faded on my keyboard from lots and lots of use. Now you have your white arrow, and if you scroll over an object, you will see that it highlights the path. And if you scroll over an anchor, it will highlight anchor. If you click on an anchor, you will see that just that anchor is highlighted now. The other anchor, for instance, for this line is left blank. So that means that anything I do with this highlighted is only going to impact this anchor. For instance, I can drag it up here, I can shorten it, and that's about it for a straight line. If you wanted to impact this curved line, for instance, again, path, anchor, anchor. So you can select it and you'll see all of the anchor points have popped up. None of them are highlighted because I did not click specifically on an anchor, but they've all popped up so I can see where they are. This little handy dandy thing is a handle. If you click on a handle, you can affect the curve of the line. If you click on an anchor, you affect its placement and where it is. If you click on the whole path, then you can drag the path around. There are open and closed paths. This is an open path because it has two ends, it does not come around, and shapes are closed paths. You can also draw a closed path, which we will go over when we get to those drawing tools. It's really important to understand paths and points when creating illustrations or logos in Illustrator and how you can impact the entire design. Let's go ahead and show how to apply a fill and a stroke to any path or shape. So for instance, let's go back over and do our selection tool, or V, and we will change the color of this square. Down here at the bottom of the toolbar, you will see the colors. This is your fill, and the one in front is your stroke. If you want to apply something with a fill, you just click to bring it to the front, or the stroke. You can see right now that there is no stroke applied. That's what the red line going through indicates. So let's say we want to change the color. There's several ways, as usual, to do this in Illustrator. I'm just going to show you a couple that will get you started, and you can always experiment with other ways to do this. If I want to change the color, this is what I would do. I would just click on the object I'm trying to change. I would go over and open my color thing if it's not already open. I would go navigate to fill, and I would either do this if I was trying to maybe darken but keep the same tone, go down and select a completely different color from the spectrum. If I was trying to get an exact color that I wanted, let's say from my color palette here, which is my coarse color palette, then what I can do is go to the eyedropper tool, and I have my object still selected, and I can click on any of these to apply that color to that object. Another way to do color, if I go back to my selection tool or hit V, is to come down to this handy dandy Swatches tab. And these are valuable when you're working on a brand. You can create a folder with that brand's colors. For instance, this is my brand for my courses, and so if I was working in a document with my own workspace set up, I would have those colors right here at all times, so they're super handy. But let's say for now, we've created a color. This square has this blue-gray color, and we want to always be able to access it. The quickest way is to just go to these 3 lines, new swatch, give it a color name, or you can leave it as the code. I'm just going to leave it as the code. Hit OK, and now you see it's right there. So anytime I want to change something to that color now, all I have to do is select it and select that color. If I wanted to put that color on the outside or the stroke of an object, all I would need to do is select the object, go down and navigate to stroke, and click that color. Now, when we're talking about stroke, there's a lot of things we can do. We can make it thicker, we can give it a stylized look. Let's go ahead and show a couple of those. So if we click that object, now if you remember, we put stroke over here on our handy dandy toolbar. We can click it there, we can navigate to it up here in our control panel, and we can make it thicker. We can also apply one of these presets to give it a different appearance. Anytime you want to see something that you're working on without being selected with the bounding box, just click off the object. But remember, you will have to click back on the object to affect any of the parameters. So let's see, another thing you can do is apply a paintbrush to the stroke of something. For now, we're going to leave it as this lovely little circle with this thick, thin stroke. If we decide we don't want a stroke on an object that has a stroke, we can just navigate over to here and see this handy dandy little none. Click none and it's gone. We want to make this circle red. Just click there. Oh, wait. Now we see that it applied it to the stroke. Not a big deal. There's several ways you can fix that. You can turn it off, or you can come over here to this flip, swap the fill and the stroke, and it will put it in the opposite direction. And then if we want no stroke on there, we just go and click that. There's many, many, many ways to do it. You're just going to need to find one that works best for you and that you become most comfortable with. The fill and stroke apply not just to shapes, but also to the paintbrush and line tools that we're going to go over in our next part. There are other selection options such as group selection, isolation mode, but that's more for the advanced full course. This will definitely get you started selecting and adjusting points and paths and colors. Let's move on to part 3.